1980s Los Angeles was a place of wealth and excess. Full of big dreams, big stars, and a lot of big hair, LA was the epitome of the late 20th century American dream. With beautiful weather and even more beautiful people, LA was where you didn't just make it, you looked good while doing it. On the surface, David Sconce was no exception. Described as having sparkling blue eyes like a young Paul Newman, David was a charming, handsome, somewhat sleazy ex-college football player who was dubbed the Cremation King of California. Completing the picture, he drove around in a white Corvette with the license plate, "I burn for you." But it was not all retorts and roses. Behind the golden boy good looks and the wholesome facade of the family-owned funeral home that David controlled, there was corruption, fraud, and piles of corpses. Piles upon piles of corpses. Oh yeah, and there was a murder somewhere in there too, allegedly. Welcome, deathlings, to episode 2 of Cadaver Crimes. The Lamb Funeral Home was an elegant family-owned funeral home in Pasadena, an affluent city in Los Angeles County next to downtown LA. Founded in 1929 by Charles Lamb, David's great-grandfather, Lamb Funeral Home's goal was to exude comfort and hospitality at every turn. From its lavish but cozy furniture to the iconic Americana the family portrayed, David's family once posed for an advertisement with their Maytag washer, complete with David's movie star beautiful mother and football coach father. Lamb Funeral Home wanted to put the home back in funeral home. Home, in every sense of the word, as their brochure stated. But looks can be deceiving. After Charles's granddaughter, Lorianne Lamb Sconce, bought out the family business from her father, Lawrence Lamb, she encouraged son David, her son with Jerry Sconce, to get into the family business, specifically embalming. David was a golden child whose dreams of becoming a football star had been dashed in college. Side note, isn't that what happened in the tri-state crematory case too? The son's college football dreams were taken away, so he turns to crematory malfeasance? Something to think about. David Sconce begrudgingly went to embalming school, but found it boring. That's fair, David. I went to embalming school and found it boring too. I just wanted to be a football player. Instead, it was cremation that excited David. With California having the highest rate of cremation in America at the time, David believed he could take over the market. Starting Coastal Cremations, Inc. in 1982, well, officially in 1984 when he actually filed the paperwork, David aimed to dominate the California cremation world by out-cremating the competition. Not only did he charge funeral homes only $55 instead of the usual $100 to cremate corpses for them, he kept the retorts at his family's crematory, Pasadena Crematorium, the oldest crematory west of the Mississippi, running around the clock. But that wasn't enough. In the crematory's 2 retorts, he'd cremate 5 or 6 bodies at a time, always trying to beat the records for how many bodies he could literally cram into a retort. A witness claimed that at one point the record was 13 bodies piled in at once. Another witness claims 18. I don't think I need to tell you that cremating 2 bodies at once, let alone 18, is highly illegal. Cremating more than 1 body in 1 retort is a misdemeanor in the state of California. Oh, and how did he separate out all the cremated remains of all those bodies to give them back to their loved ones? He didn't, obviously. The commingled remains would arrive in big barrels to the Lamb Funeral Home, where, in an area dubbed the Ash Palace, an employee would sift the remains, doling out 3.5 to 5 pounds of cremated remains for a woman and 5 to 7 pounds for men. Home, in every sense of the word. Remember? By 1986, Coastal Cremation's gross earnings were over $1 million. His team of ex-football players, called his boys, would drive all over California, picking up as many bodies to cremate as possible and intimidating his competition. And by intimidating, I mean beating up. One of David's main rivals was a crematory owner by the name of Timothy R. Waters. Waters was also something of a character, known for the jeweled rings he wore on his fingers, as well as poaching other morticians' business. Waters also threatened to out David Sconce's illegal activities, so David set his sights on silencing Waters. In February of 1985, one of David's boys was allegedly sent to, beat the crap out of Waters. The boy carried a business card that said, "Big Men Unlimited." Waters survived that incident, but 2 months later he died under mysterious circumstances. The autopsy revealed fatty buildup around his kidneys, but also the presence of a heart medication called digoxin in his blood. Waters didn't take heart medication. It was revealed that oleander leaf, a poisonous Southern California tree, could mimic that heart medication in the blood. Later, in 1990, when David was on trial, one of the boys would testify that David had bragged about slipping something into Waters' drink while at a restaurant. David was charged with poisoning Waters, but not convicted on that charge because it couldn't be confirmed that the oleander was actually present in Waters' blood. The legal stuff would come later, but by the mid-80s, David's cremation business was on fire. Due to the huge number of bodies that he was able to cremate, David's boys gave him the nickname Little Hitler. Cool story, bro. With the retorts burning countless bodies at all hours of the day, Pasadena Crematorium was always spewing black smoke. The fire department was regularly called because people thought the crematory was on fire. Until one day, in November of 1986, it actually did burn down. How? Because employees had put 38 corpses into the retorts, a new record, and a leg had clogged the ventilation system. But instead of failure, David saw an opportunity. He set up a secret crematory 70 miles outside of LA in San Bernardino, which he called Oscar Ceramics. There, cremating bodies using diesel fuel and industrial ceramic kilns, David claimed to be making ceramic tiles for NASA's space shuttles. You can't make this stuff up. Well, unless you're David Sconce. David was back in business. At its peak, Oscar Ceramics cremated 8,000 bodies a year. But there was more to David and company than shady cremations. David and his parents were also allegedly illegally selling organs to medical schools and research centers, as well as the black market. Establishing Coastal International Eye and Tissue Bank in 1985, the Sconces would either purposely mislead clients into signing complicated documents, allowing David to remove organs and teeth from their loved ones' bodies, or they would straight up forge the documents. In only 3 months, they sold 136 brains, 145 hearts, and 100 lungs. David would then hack at the bodies using a crowbar, a screwdriver, pliers, whatever, to get at the organs, eyeballs, and teeth. Eyeballs were collected in Coke cans, and gold teeth were wrenched from the mouths and sold to his friend's gold company, creatively titled Gold, Gold, Gold. After the bodies were pilfered of organs and teeth, to the crematory they would go. The beginning of the end came for Little Hitler when in early 1987, an air quality engineer with the San Bernardino Air Pollution Control District, Richard Wales, received a complaint from a local World War II veteran that Oscar Ceramics was not what it seemed. Quote, "Don't tell me I don't know what burning bodies smell like. I was at the ovens at Auschwitz," he yelled. So Wales and the fire marshal investigated. Upon entering the premise, the warehouse was filthy, covered in black sludge from the kilns. There were garbage cans brimming with cremated remains and prosthetics, and the floor was sticky with human fluids. When they opened the door to one of the kilns, a flaming human foot fell out. By May of 1988, David and his parents Jerry and Lori Ann were charged with 67 counts of felonies and misdemeanors, including, according to the Los Angeles Times, illegally harvesting eyes, hearts, lungs, and brains for sale to a scientific supply company, conducting mass cremations, falsifying death certificates, and embezzling funeral trust account funds. But wait, there's more. Also in May of 1988, countless prosthetic devices, teeth, Dentures, bones, pacemaker wires, and skull fragments were found in the crawl space under David's former rental home in Glendora. David was sentenced to only 5 years in prison in 1989, and he would serve only 2.5 years, getting released in 1991. However, because of various other run-ins with the law, including but not limited to selling fake bus tickets, soliciting a hitman, and breaking probation by moving to Montana, he is currently in prison and won't be up for parole until 2022. No one sent him this video, okay? Jerry and Lori Ann were convicted in 1995 and were sentenced to 3 years and 8 months in prison. Okay, after all that, you're probably wondering, how on earth did that all happen right under the nose of the California funeral industry community that I myself am so proud to be a part of? My sense is that things are much better inspection-wise now. Our funeral home gets inspected on everything down to how our license number is positioned on our website, and they don't let you open a funeral home until they've also inspected the crematory you'll be using. There are still shady dealings, people cutting corners for money reasons, but nothing even close to this. I don't know that anything has ever been close to this. So that's the story of the Lamb Funeral Home. Home in every sense of the word. Speaking of morticians in Los Angeles, this is a really bad transition, but I have to announce this today, so here it goes. Just pretend you're watching another video. The bad story's over. It's me, I'm nice, right? You may have already heard that my book, Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs, is coming out September 10th. It's questions from kids about death, but answered for everyone. Chock full of death facts and strange stories. No judgment if you pick up the book from Amazon or your library, but I have always been a rabid fan of independent bookstores who work tirelessly to keep reading alive and well in your community. So, starting today, July 13th until August 12th, if you pre-order the book from one of your favorite independent bookstores, you'll not only get a signed book, signed by me, not a random person, probably don't have to say that, but you also get a free, one-of-a-kind, envy of all your friends, enamel pin of my face, designed by Veronica Pazzi. Is it weird to be hawking my own likeness? Am I becoming David Sconce? LA does strange things to people. Whatever, let's get weird, deathlings. All info is linked below on my website. See you next week for another cadaver crime. This video was made with generous donations from death enthusiasts just like you. I'm back. Woo! Where's my goddamn hat? Jessica, excuse me. There's no Jessica, I don't know who that is. 1980s Los Angeles was a place of starting real great. Oh yeah, and there was a murder somewhere in there too, allegedly. God damn it. Including but not limited to selling fake bucks. There was corruption, fraud, and piles of corpses. Piles and piles of corpses. This does not blow bubbles, I checked.